It begins quietly, almost unnoticed. You're around 7 years old, looking into the eyes of a parent who is breaking in ways you don't yet understand. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's the empty silence of someone too overwhelmed to be present, and without anyone saying a word, something ancient activates in your young mind. If I don't hold everything together, no one will. This is how a child fades, not in body, but in identity. They start smiling more, crying less. They study the room before speaking. They become the emotional barometer of the household. They turn into little adults long before they're ready, and the world applauds them for it. You're so mature. You're so responsible. You're so strong, but almost no one asks, what did this cost you? This is the hidden grief of growing up too soon, and today we explore the psychology behind it, because the effects don't disappear with time. They shape who you become. They influence relationships, work, and self-worth, and without awareness, you may continue repeating coping patterns that once protected you, but now quietly harm you. Let's start with the developmental reality. When children must emotionally care for adults instead of being cared for, psychologists call it parentification. The child becomes the caretaker, the mediator, the listener, the protector. This isn't just unhealthy. It changes the brain. When a child is repeatedly responsible for emotional stability, whether theirs or someone else's, it often leads to hypervigilance. You are always alert. You walk carefully, avoiding conflict. You learn love is earned through caretaking. You provide calm, hoping to receive safety. Your needs feel threatening. Theirs feel urgent, so you don't vanish physically, but emotionally. You build a version of yourself that performs well. You become the helpful one, the quiet achiever, the friend who listens, the person who never asks for support. You wear that role so well that even you forget. It's a role, but deep inside, something still hurts, because the child you silenced never disappeared. They remain inside, quietly asking, why wasn't I protected? With age, the signs become more layered. You may become fiercely independent, avoiding help, keeping distance, struggling to feel safe in closeness. You may feel detached in joyful moments because happiness feels unfamiliar or undeserved. Rest may feel impossible because productivity became the only way you felt valuable. And the most difficult part? You might not realize you're still living in survival mode, because when dysfunction becomes normal early in life, your nervous system begins to treat chaos as normal. Stillness feels uncomfortable, calm feels uncertain, and love can feel like something you must earn back. This is the psychology of a child who matured too early. It's not simple sadness. It is layered trauma that shifts how you see the world and, even more importantly, yourself. You may wonder why any child would take on such a role. Because children will do anything to stay connected, even if it means losing parts of themselves. The decision isn't conscious. It's biological. When safety is missing, the child trades authenticity for belonging. That isn't weakness. It is survival intelligence. But here's the difficult truth. The strategy that protected you then can confine you now. Many adults move through life functioning well on the surface while an unmet inner child guides their emotional world. We achieve more to feel deserving. We stay quiet to avoid rejection. We support others yet quietly hope someone would finally ask how we are, and the quiet wish that someone might notice your strength as a shield and offer space for you to fall apart and be supported. That belongs not to your adult self, but to the child who never felt safe enough to be a child. The first step in healing isn't doing, it's acknowledging. Because until you recognize your experience, you may keep convincing yourself with thoughts like, it wasn't that bad. Other people had worse. I turned out okay, but okay can also be a disguise, and somewhere inside you know that. So what becomes of that child in adulthood? They become adults who struggle to relax, even in safe places. Partners who find softness difficult to trust. Givers who struggle to receive. People who apologize for tears, doubt praise, and confuse being exhausted with being productive. This is the price of growing up too soon. Because if childhood taught you to be strong instead of gentle, quiet instead of honest, and to fix others while ignoring yourself, then what kind of adulthood follows? You inherit a life where you're constantly holding your breath, waiting for permission to finally let go. But here's the reality. No one is coming to rescue the child you pushed aside. You are the one who must go back. Offer support and say what no one said before. You didn't deserve that. You were just a child. You can rest now. This is the beginning of shadow work, not fixing everything immediately, not performing or forcing positivity, but turning toward the forgotten parts of yourself and saying, I see you. I hear you. I'm here now. That is where repair begins. And it's difficult, because it requires you to feel the emotions you once avoided, to sit with anger, sadness, unmet needs, to grieve birthdays that felt empty, to mourn the innocence lost while taking care of others who should have cared for you. But grief isn't weakness. It's evidence of healing. What was frozen is finally releasing. Now let's explore how this survival pattern shows up later. In life, often subtly and quietly, you may act as the emotional support in friendships but never reveal your true feelings. You may be praised for independence while secretly fearing that needing help makes you a burden. You may overfunction in relationships, fixing, explaining, managing, and feel resentment without knowing why. You may struggle to set boundaries because saying no still feels unsafe. These are not personality flaws. They are coping patterns. Learned, practiced, and fortunately, they can be unlearned, but only when you stop glorifying constant strength and begin acknowledging your pain. One valuable question to ask your inner child is, what did I need that I never received? You may hear answers like, I needed reassurance it wasn't my fault. I needed to be asked how I felt. I needed time to play, rest, and feel joy without fear. Slowly, you begin giving those things to yourself, not to rewrite the past, but to stop repeating it. This is how. You stop looking for parents and partners. This is how you stop confusing anxiety with intuition. This is how you stop running from the child you were and connect with the person you're becoming. Carl Jung said, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. People will go to great lengths to avoid facing their inner world. Shadow work asks us to face it, all of it, the wounded parts, the ashamed parts, the fearful parts, the angry parts. Healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were before you were taught to be someone else. So, if you grew up too quickly, hear this. Your maturity was never the issue. The issue was that you weren't given a choice. But now, you have one. You can choose gentleness. You can choose rest. You can stop managing everyone else's emotions and start honoring your own. It won't change overnight. There will be days you feel young again, and that's healthy. Let that child return. Let them feel. Let them be seen. Finally, you are not broken. You are becoming whole. For the first time, you are growing in a way that is real, not from fear or pressure, but from truth. You didn't get a childhood, but you still have a future, and now you get to create it on your terms.